Thank you very much for making a date on the marketplace today. Now, confidence in local banks in the country could be badly affected in the coming months. That's a warning coming from financial consultant and lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Lord Mensah. It follows the decision of the Construction Bank to fold up subject to the Bank of Ghana's approval. There's more in this report.
Lord Mensah's worry is based on the facts that Construction Bank's action to close down gives credence to the fear that most local banks may not be able to meet the new minimum capital requirement of 400 million cedis.
Most of the local banks are struggling in terms of revenue mobilization. Now people are turning their funds to foreign-owned banks. I think that's where they feel safe in sending their funds to them. It's clear on the ground. When it happens like this, obviously the trust in the financial space has got lost, and if people have money now, trust me, they won't like to channel it through the financial system again.
Already, some of the local banks have been hit by serious withdrawals, a development that has resulted in a lot of them facing serious liquidity challenges. Some of the local banks have told Joy Business that unless government steps in, a lot of them may be forced to go down. Joy Business is learning that indeed Construction Bank submitted a recapitalization plan to the Bank of Ghana, but delayed in getting the necessary approvals, a development that forced it to surrender the universal license in its possession to the Bank of Ghana after its board meet. Sources say all the necessary measures have been put in place to ensure that every depositor gets his or her funds from the bank. A visit to the 4th floor of the Octagon building in Accra, which housed the administrative staff of the bank, showed that most of their items are being moved out. The governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, maintains that at least 15 banks out of the about 32 banks in operation could meet the new minimum capital requirement of 400 million cedis by the end of December.
So the office of the former Sovereign Bank will be the head office building for the newly established Consolidated Bank Ghana Limited in Accra. Ebenezer Sabuti has more.
See behind me, Airport City Manette Towers C, which is housing Sovereign Bank, very soon to be the headquarters of the Ghana Consolidated Bank. Don't forget, according to the Bank of Ghana, this is the building that they are going to use as the head office for the newly established indigenous bank. As we all know, the operating license of Sovereign Bank has been revoked. Therefore, it ceases to operate as a bank from today. Therefore, this is the new building where the branch for Consolidated Bank would be. Activities here are normal. We haven't seen any official of the Bank of Ghana in yet, but we've understood that some customers of the bank tried to come in to find out whether their funds are safe, and they were assured that indeed their funds are safe. Just that they have now become customers of Ghana Consolidated Bank Ghana Limited. It is no more Sovereign Bank, but Ghana Consolidated Bank, and this is the new head office at Airport City, Manette Towers C. Ebenezer Sabute.
All right, so very soon we'll be sending you live to the premises of some branches of the newly established Consolidated Bank, where business activities are expected to open to the public. But first, let's have some information on the new CEO of the Consolidated Bank Ghana Limited. All right, so business activities of the newly established Consolidated Bank Ghana Limited are expected to open this afternoon. Let's now go over to the phone lines and speak with Joy Business's Ebenezer Sabuti, who is currently positioned to witness business in some of the branches. Good afternoon, Eben. Welcome to the marketplace.
Hello, Abati.
Hello, Eben.
Yes.
Where are you currently and what can you report?
I'm currently at the head office of Construction Bank, where we used earlier in the morning when we asked to keep the bank back from the KPM. They are supposed to open at 1 p.m. As we speak, it's still 1 p.m. in the bank.
Ebenezer, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
All right, it's better now. Can you tell us where exactly you are now?
Hello? Hello?
Eben.
Hello?
Ebenezer, can you tell us where you are currently and what exactly is happening there?
Okay, I'm currently at the Construction Bank, head office of Construction Bank at the Octagon. You know, the bank went, the bank closed from morning because of the issues from the Bank of Ghana. But they are supposed to open as we speak. The bank is still yet to open. We haven't seen any customer yet. Staff of the bank are inside, so the place is very, transparent. So you can see that people are inside, but there's a situation on the entrance that the place is closed.
Now, what is the current security situation there?
Come again, I cannot hear you very well.
What is the security situation like?
Okay, over here, there hasn't been any much activity. It's only the staff of the bank who are in the hall, the banking hall. We haven't seen much of the customers coming in yet, but I think most of them have received the message that the bank will be closed until 1 p.m. and it's open before it will be open for business. So as we speak, there hasn't been any customer rush or panic withdrawals yet. As to whether they did it during the week, we cannot tell, but there hasn't been much activity over here.
Been able to speak with any of the management staff as yet?
I haven't been able to speak with any of the management staff yet, but I'm trying to get one or two of them to speak with. And whenever I get, I'll bring all the details back to our viewers and listeners.
All right, now, early in the morning, before you came to your current position, where did you go and what was the situation also like?
So earlier on, I was at the Royal Bank head office at Chiasi. And then later I moved from there to Big Bank, East Legon branch. Then later I went to Sovereign Bank head office at Airport City before coming here. As we all know, because the Bank of Ghana has decided to consolidate the 5 banks, it is going to use the Sovereign Bank office as the head office for the consolidated bank. So we're there to see for ourselves what is happening. But the activities over there have become so far.
All right. Anything else you would like to tell us?
What I would like to say is that customers over here have been, the situation is very calm. They seem to, there hasn't been any rush,
Okay.
So yeah, the bank will be open soon for business.
All right, many thanks for that update. Ebenezer Sauti reaching us live from some of the branches of the Consolidated Bank Ghana Limited, where he reports that activities currently are on the lower side. Let's still be on the topic. And Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta says he is optimistic the new measures taken by the Bank of Ghana to deal with the troubled banks would strengthen the sector. The minister's comments follow the liquidation of 5 banks, Beige, Royal, Sovereign, Unibank and Construction banks, leading to the creation of a new bank, Consolidated Bank. The governor of the Bank of Ghana also appointed a new receiver and a CEO of the bank. The issue of criminality on the part of former management members has also come to the fore. Let's now get onto the phone lines and speak with economist and also financial sector legal practitioner, Professor John Gachi, for some further explanation. Good afternoon, sir. Welcome to the market, please.
Good afternoon.
All right, so how did you take the news yesterday when the announcement was made?
Well, I think it was surprising because nobody was expecting this would happen, especially when in the previous 2 situations, the Bank of Ghana indicated that was the end of the turmoil in the sector. And also on the back of the fact that KPMG presented a report, I think last week, which clearly spells out what government should be doing. So one was not expecting that these decisions will be taken, and more so, since we have not had any debate as to whether Parliament is approving a decision of government to set up a limited liability entity to manage the process. So that was the surprising aspect of the entire thing.
Now, if you say surprising, many would disagree because over the past month or so, the Bank of Ghana has been sounding caution to the fact that, banks who realize they will not be able to make the date for the new capital requirements should either merge or maybe step down the ladder. But why are you saying that this is surprising to you?
I think that is a different discussion because the end of the deadline for meeting the capital requirement is December. So we are not yet in December. So if I say I'm surprised about this move, indeed I am, because we will not got into the deadline. So all those cautions that the Bank of Ghana was giving was with respect to banks doing their best to capitalize to meet the deadline. So I think what I'm saying is within the context of the creation of a new bank.
There have been several assertions to this particular development, the issue of criminality, bordering around the fact that some management staff of these defunct companies or these defunct banks conceal some information before getting their documents passed or their certification by the Bank of Ghana is a major issue. What's your take on this?
Well, I think we shouldn't rush to talk about criminality. Whether some people will be criminally investigated or charged depends on Bank of Ghana, because at 9:30 it's very clear on the duties of top management of the bank. In fact, it is also very clear some of the penalties that should be given out to people who do not do what is required of them. In fact, it is also very clear that when a director recognizes that something untoward is happening, he is supposed to report to his fellow board members for decision to be taken to resolve. And if ineptitude continues concerning the matter, the director is supposed to report to Bank of Ghana. If that is not done, then it means that there is no way the director will be absolved. So I think we need to allow Bank of Ghana to come to that conclusion, because the act is very clear on what top management of a bank or a director is supposed to do and what is the consequence when that is not done.
All right, so what's the way forward, Prof?
Well, the way forward is that we know the root cause of this problem: regulatory failure, weak monitoring and supervision, inability of government to pay its indebtedness to some of the banks involved, and weak corporate governance on the side of directors and management for some of these banks. So corporate governance issues very clearly spelled out in the Act, and the Bank of Ghana has taken a further step by publishing corporate governance directives, which means that now the Bank of Ghana seems to be ready to do its monitoring and supervisory activity, and the Bank of Ghana is actually asking those managing the commercial banks to adhere to those corporate governance guidelines. And if those things are done, I believe we are halfway through the problem. And of course, we also need to manage the economy in such a way that some of the problems that come with managing an economy that deliver very high interest rates will also be reduced. So I think that stepping up our corporate governance activities and regulatory supervision is key going forward.
All right, now, Prof, before you finally go, we would like you to give us some education on these two terms.
You can raise your voice.
All right, so before you finally leave us, we would like you to give us some education on these two key terms. Yesterday, the Bank of Ghana governor also announced a receiver of the bank as well as a CEO of the bank. What is the clarification of these two terms?
Well, when a bank is set up, you need a CEO to manage it. And of course, it's not very clear who is appointing the CEO, because the Bank of Ghana, the Act requires that when a CEO is appointed of a bank, that CEO should be approved by Bank of Ghana. So I don't know whether the Bank of Ghana is appointing and approving. So that is the job that ought to be done so long as you have a bank to run. You have a receiver because not all the assets of these banks have been taken over. So you need to liquidate some of the assets. You get cash or you get money. The Bank of Ghana Act requires that you need to appoint a receiver to receive all those assets, put them together and account for it. Okay. So that is where a receiver has been appointed in line with the Bank of the Act 930. So it's just trying to follow the requirements of the law and ensure that those assets, the proceeds from the liquidation of those assets are properly accounted for. And if there is going to be some distribution, the Act also talks about how to deal with or how to prioritize liabilities. There are people who those entities are owing. They will now go into do prioritization and see when those assets are received, which of the debtors needs to be focused on to clear them in terms of payment. So right. That is where the role of the receiver is very, very key in this process. All
right. Thank you very much, John. Financial legal University of Cape Coast. Away from that, the Bank of Ghana has justified the decision to revoke licenses of the 5 banks, insisting it had to do this to save the entire banking sector. This follows assertions that the action was politically motivated. But speaking to Joy Business, Head of Banking Supervision, Osei Jesse, insists that this is not the situation.
We have been engaging these banks for some time now. Those who had capital challenges by way of solvency, those who had liquidity challenges, we asked them to submit recapitalization plans, which were also going to address the liquidity challenges that they had. And they did. And we kept monitoring the situation as far as implementation is concerned. But we realized that they were not able to implement the plans that they submitted, and their financials kept deteriorating. And the regulator realized that if the necessary prompt corrective actions under the law were not taken, which includes what we just did, it was going to expose the taxpayer to higher costs, and it has financial stability implications. It has implications for the economy. There's implications for the financial sector. So we couldn't wait any longer. We had to take this decision that was taken.
So it is not true that they on their part did everything best to correct what you asked for, and that people thought that BOG was too harsh and wasn't willing to give time for these banks to recapitalize quickly and address all the problems that you raised?
It's not true, because these are banks that continue to knock at the door of the central bank for liquidity support. These are banks that we realize their solvency positions were deteriorating on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis. So we had no choice. It's the longer we stayed, the more expensive it was going to be for the taxpayer, and it had, like I said, financial stability implications. So that wasn't the case.
Now, the desire to make more money is pushing many small financial institutions to attain the status of banks. That's the observation of CEO of Dalex Finance, Ken Thompson, as the central bank consolidates 5 banks, some of which appear to be doing very well in the microfinance space. Mr. Thompson says the latest development in the banking sector should teach small financial institutions lessons to build their firms step by step and not to cut corners.
The most important thing is making sure that our institutions, operate in a way that is proper. That's the most important thing. We must also be conscious of the fact that we need foreign direct investment. That's important. but we must also promote a national agenda. So I will not support a local institution that is not doing the wrong thing. I will support the Bank of Ghana if it promotes a national agenda, but also promotes foreign direct investment. That's the most important thing. Because ultimately, if the financial system collapses and the whole country goes down, it's got nothing to do with whether it's local or foreign. It's that the system has collapsed. That's the most important thing.
And some of these financial institutions, for instance, Beige was doing very well in the microfinance space. Did it jump the gun? Are we seeing the tendency where most of these microfinance companies want to rush to become a bank all of a sudden? Is that what we are seeing?
Beige appeared to be doing very well in the microfinance space. I don't know what it was doing, but there was some sudden desire by financial institutions to become banks. Let me put on record that Dalex has I have no intention of becoming a bank. We'll probably become a bigger financial institution, but not in the way that you see now. But then there was some push to become, for finance companies to become banks. The whole strategy at that time was that they could do larger transactions. Those transactions were all government transactions, and so they could make more money. But of course, over the last few years, the government itself has been under pressure. The government is the biggest contractor, is the biggest lender, is the biggest borrower, is the biggest contractor, the biggest employer. So now the government business is contracted. Those banks were bound to suffer because the business model was based on lending, doing business with government. So those was going to suffer. Why they did it, I don't know.
So the announcement of the liquidation of 5 banks by the central bank governor yesterday seems to be generating a lot of diverse reactions from the banking public. Charles Aite has been getting some of these reactions and has come through with this report.
It's been barely 24 hours since the Bank of Ghana consolidated 5 struggling banks in the country. All soon, Ghanaians are expressing concern over this development, as many of them say the confidence they had in the banking sector previously is currently dwindling following this development. Well, Joy Business caught up with some of them, and their reactions and interactions are somewhat interesting.
Yeah, and panic, which our authorities have to wake up and do something about it. Because imagine you saving with a bank and the following day you go like...
All right, so we'll bring you more of those views from the public on Business Live later this evening. And that's it for the marketplace. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji.